All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is an article that came out in USA Today, October 13th, 2017. Black lawmakers pushing for more aid, attention to Virgin Islands. And we know there has hardly been any attention. All of the attention is going to Puerto Rico, but no one is hearing about the US Virgin Islands, and they are really in the same shape that Puerto Rico's in. They don't have power. They are struggling for resources and food and fresh water. The same thing. It's really no different. And Trump had the audacity to go to Puerto Rico, and the US Virgin Islands is right next to it, and he leaves. He didn't even care enough to go check on the mostly black island of the Virgin Island. But I'm glad the Congressional Black Caucus, at least they got this one thing right. Let me go ahead and get into the story. I'm going to play the video. Okay, this actually is not new. When I looked at the caption below, this is from September 12th. So it's not a recent one after Maria went through. This was the aftermath of Irma. All right. Members of the Congressional Black Caucus are pushing for a trip to the Virgin Islands to assess the damage there and draw attention to the plight of residents still struggling in wake of two major hurricanes. We think it's important for people not only who are on the ground to see the uh, cavalry coming, but it's important for us to go down and independently assess the needs of the people. Representative Cedric Richmond, Louisiana Democrat, chair of the caucus, said Thursday before a House vote on a disaster aid bill. The House approved a $36.5 billion disaster aid package that includes $18.7 billion for the Federal Emergency Management Agency's Disaster Relief Fund. The Senate is expected to vote on the bill next week when it's back in session. Caucus members support the bill. Plus, Stacey Placid, a Democrat who represents the Virgin Islands and a caucus member, called the aid package inadequate for the needs of the Virgin Islands, and I believe inadequate for the needs of Puerto Rico and so many other areas. There is a massive devastation that people of the Virgin Islands are experiencing right now. Support that is not being given to them, attention that they are not receiving, that they should be receiving, Placid said Wednesday before the House vote. The Virgin Islands, which is about 76% Black, was hard hit by Hurricanes Irma and Maria. Placid described the dire conditions, including struggling hospitals, school closures, and a shortage of power and essential supplies. She said the federal government needs to do more. It is the constitutional responsibility of Congress to provide for the territory, she said. This is the time for Congress to do the right thing, to support the territories in an adequate fashion so that we can turn disaster into resilience, so that we can be a better island. We're not looking for handouts. We're looking for our fair share. Placid said, the region will need much more than a $5 billion Virgin Island governor, Ken Mapp, has requested. Why did he request such a low amount? Wow. The administration and federal agency, the administration and emergency officials have come under fire for what some lawmakers and advocates call their slow response to the crisis in the U.S. territories. Federal officials have defended their response, saying the effort, particularly in Puerto Rico, have been hampered by getting supplies and resources to the island. We're slowly starting to make progress every day, Brock Long, the head of the Federal Emergency Management Agency, told reporters Monday. You know what? I don't trust anything the Trump administration said. All along, they've been trying to make these accusations that everything's making progress and it's better. And then later you hear in the news, people aren't even getting resources. So, I take whatever they say with a grain of salt. President Trump said Friday that he's met with governors of states and territories impacted by the hurricanes, including Mapp. Trump mistakenly referred to Mapp as a president in a speech Friday. Well, Trump don't know what the hell, he doesn't know what nothing is. At a conservative value voter summit in Washington, D.C. We also stand with the millions of people who have suffered from the massive fires, which are right now raging in California, and the catastrophic hurricanes along the Gulf Coast in Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands, Trump said. Trump visited Texas, Louisiana, Florida, and Puerto Rico after the hurricanes. Caucus members called for Trump to also visit the Virgin Islands, but said the trip should be more than a photo op. Vice President Pence visited the Virgin Islands earlier this month, and that's him with some of the officials that are there in this picture. Richmond said the caucus has asked House Speaker Ryan of Wisconsin to approve a congressional delegation trip to the Virgin Islands. Under House rules, the Speaker must approve such trip. Ryan's office said the request is still pending, but said the House has been that a member of the majority of party must lead a congressional delegation trip, and it must be bipartisan. Ryan led a day-long bipartisan trip to Puerto Rico Friday. Caucus members said the administration and federal officials should also focus more attention and resources on the Virgin Islands. See, I don't understand why they're just going to Puerto Rico and leaving, and they know that the U.S. Virgin Islands also suffered the same type of devastation that Puerto Rico did. So I don't get why they won't go over there. We thank FEMA for all they've done and all that has been deployed already, but it's an all hands on deck. I hate that saying. I don't know about y'all, but I can't stand that. And it seems like that is something that people are saying all over the place, all hands on deck. I don't like that. It's corny. Endeavor that must be underway, said Representative Yvette Clarke of New York. She's a Democrat. No Republican citizen should be asked to wait and endure these conditions with the level of resources we all know our federal government is capable of providing. Clarke, a member of the caucus, said the Virgin Islands is reliant on tourism, which she said down and out. Yeah, nobody can tour any of those islands now, especially Irma. Um, and then Maria hitting the islands. You can't go there and tour anything now. That their tourism business is pretty much dead right now. Providing temporary housing is also a critical issue, Richmond said. He said federal emergency officials can turn to cruise ships and other vessels to house first responders and others who could help rebuild the island's infrastructure. We don't get too many opportunities to get it right, and so many lives are affected. You have to think outside the box, he said. But more importantly, you have to bring all the resources that you have. And I do know, ladies and gentlemen, they had a FEMA barge here in New Jersey that they are sending down to Puerto Rico. Okay, so just like they did in, I believe, Texas, the FEMA barge, well, there's another one heading down to Puerto Rico to take anybody that don't have adequate housing in Puerto Rico. Didn't say anything about the Virgin Islands. Um, but please tell me what you think. It's a good thing that they are trying to focus more attention on the U.S. Virgin Islands, but it certainly is not enough. Those people are enduring the same exact thing the island of Puerto Rico is enduring right now. And it's kind of unfair that it has not gotten much attention in the news. A 76% Black island. Oh, what can I say? Please leave your comment and subscribe. And if you can donate to my channel, please do. Peace, family.